Hey everybody, I hope everybody's doing well and everybody's essay went well. I apologize for my late entry. I've had some family stuff come and happen over the last 2 weeks, so it's life, it gets in the way. But I'm going to be kind of bouncing around a little bit. This article that I found for my analysis is long and full of information. And it's really the only one that I've seen that compares to what I wrote, because every article about women's mental health has something to do with pregnancy. And I chose to do my paper over the yellow wallpaper with the main analysis of women's mental health, especially during that time. But I also did a little bit of gender roles in there as well, because I thought that those two themes were both very, very prevalent. So, the article I chose to analyze with correlation to my essay was, it's called Trajectories of Physical Activity from Mid to Older Age Women. 21 years of study from the Australian Study on Women's Mental Health. So, during the yellow wallpaper, we can notice that it's pretty obvious that Perkins does not get around at all. Like, she is very confined in her room. And one thing that I made note of in my essay is that a lack of physical activity and being confined in solitude does not help any mental health struggles at all, as I'm sure we know from like being locked in your room whenever you're sad or mad. It doesn't help out at all. You never really feel better until you get out, go outside, touch the grass, whatever you may do. So the main takeaway from this study is that I think they researched like 13,000 women over 20 years or some crazy number like that. Where are the results? 5 trajectories were identified. Low stable, which is 13% of participants. Moderate stable, which is the good majority, like 50% of women. Moderate increasing, which is 22.2%, which is that's good. Sometimes women, who am I to say anything? I can't. But this percentage right here is the main one that I want to hammer on, is a high declining, which is 7.7%. Whenever the low stable and the high declining are the ones that I mainly focused on. And this was a study done across different women, so not all of them were physically active, but it was just a broad spectrum of it. And the more you read into it, all of the moderate stable and the high stable, which is 6.6%, that's the rest of the percentage. Those are all, most all of those are the physically active women, and about 90% of the high declining women, or about 90% of the high declining women are not physically active. So that goes hand in hand with the interpretation of being locked in a room and not doing anything. It's not helping mental health at all, by any means. And it's something that you cannot do. Especially, there was another article that I was going to kind of source with it, which is women with disabilities and their correlation to mental health struggles. And I didn't really think that she had any mental health disabilities. If anything, she had some physical health disabilities, because in the beginning of the paper, she was already saying that she was on medication. So we don't know if it's medication for any heart diseases or anything like that. So you couldn't really tell if she had a disability at first, but like by the end of the story, you could definitely tell. But I figured this would have more means for the point that I'm trying to make. And it follows a whole bunch of data points, if they're drinkers or non-drinkers, smoking status, which is this study was done from the 40s to the early 70s. So it is rare to see women not smoking, which it is shown here that roughly 30% of them are smokers. So, yeah, out of 13,714 women, data from 10,371 were included in the analysis. So you have to think, out of that 7.7% of 10,000 women, that's a lot. That's 700 women right there, almost 800 women. Out of that 10,000 that had a highly declining mental health status, all because, I wish I can find the data point again. This article is 19 pages long. There is a key point in here that says, out of all of the groups, the highest percent of women who did not work out on a daily basis, or not a daily basis, on a weekly basis, were in that high declining group. And the large age majority is 47 to 55-year-old women. That's, and that's, it's bad. So, yeah, that's pretty much the the point that I came across with. So, yeah, Perkins staying in that room all the time and being completely locked down to her own devices was not helping her at all, especially during this time period, because this survey was taken 50 years after the story took place. So you could only imagine that the mental health struggles were even worse. Like, it's not good. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk, guys. I appreciate it.